Ay, teka, wala pala tong video, no? Hindi pala tong video episode.
Meron akong video episode, pero mag-negotiate pa tayo ng copyright.
Ayan, ikaw na maglabas ng video. Pero kung gusto nyo makita yung video episode version nito, buong episode, walang blip, walang kahit anong filter.
Yun.
Sakto.
Mag-Patreon kayo.
Sakto yung mga natin ngayon, may mga pang-Patreon kayo, manggagawa o labor.
Welcome
to the Cool Pals!
Episode 815.
Exclusive
on Spotify. Oh, I love Africa. And before it was called Africa, it was called Milele.
Milele.
Milele. And why did you, Nonong, why did you choose a song from Africa?
It's because, sabi ni Woman. Dapat ang pempen ko. Dapat nga ang pempen ko kanina.
Magpapautang ka ba?
Kasi sabi sa akin ni Woman na ganito na doon magsalita. Sabi ko kasi kanina, iba kasi yung pempen ko.
What is
dapat
your pempen?
Holiday and that will be at night holiday. Kasi ngayon di ba?
May 1.
Hindi, kasi guess natin si Prophet Darian.
Yan. Kailan ba ngayon, May 1 ang Sub-Saharan Day?
Oo, di ba?
Official.
Naman tayo dito.
Kasama natin, Prof. Richard Day Darian again.
So, okay, John. Welcome back to myself and with you, my friends. Actually, to be honest, gusto ko sana suotin kanina itong Siargao kong shirt. Kasi sabi ko, baka ma-persona non grata na rin ako sa Siargao. Yung pa naman ang pinakagusto kong part sa Mindanao. Just to be clear sa mga kaibigan natin, I've been around Mindanao. I've been in Marawi right after the conflict. I covered yung time na sa GMA Network pa ako. Doon sa show namin with Atom na Stand for Truth. Naka-Jensen na tayo, Davao na tayo. Magpaliwanag lang ko sa presinto.
Sige lang.
Ito na.
Davao, Siargao. So yung mga nagtatanong, Richard, have you been to Mindanao? Hindi lang natin alam mga Human Development Index numbers. We have also been to Mindanao and all the beautiful places. Kaya sana yung mga persona trapo dyan, bawas-bawasan na yung mga persona non grata na yan. Kasi more than happy to be back in Mindanao.
Yan, yung sinabi ni Prof na yan, ipapakat natin.
Splice nyo na. Isa-splice na naman yan. Splice na naman yan.
So, walang kahit anong trace ng apology. Apology ba yun?
Hindi. Now, first of all, ako, ganito First of all, tama yung sinabi ng ibang kaibigan ko from Mindanao. Kasi marami akong kaibigan from Mindanao who actually defended me. Sabi niya, hindi nyo naman napanood. Meron ba kayong CNN? That was an interview with Becky Anderson.
Wala kayong CNN sa Mindanao.
Wala palang CNN sa Mindanao.
Pati tayo walang CNN. Ako walang CNN, di ba?
Pero baka may Spotify sa Mindanao.
Uy, huwag kayong ganon. Mas maganda pa nga yung internet nila dyan. At saka ang phone nila, nilight-light pa nga na phone ko. No, but going back to this, no, I mean, that thing was a full, full interview. I'm not sure how many people watched it. I'm not sure people even knew what was Human Development Index. Kaya pumunta ako sa Google Trends. Nakita ko, ang taas pala nung nagre-research na ano yung Google, yung Human Development Index. So,
ano ba yung Human Development
So, Human Development Index po ay isang measurement ng, kumbaga, yung level ng development ng isang area base sa mga iba't ibang mga indicator. So, hindi lang yung income or gross domestic product, tinitignan din yung life expectancy. So, kasama dyan yung healthcare mo, tinitignan din dyan yung education literacy rates, among others, and then my different versions. So actually, nung sa graduate school ko, yung isang research po natin, si Ma'am Clarita Carlos pa yung prof ko.
Nako,
was actually,
sa'yo, no?
Interestingly, actually, my study was a regression analysis looking at the correlation between, of course, you don't have to, was between Human Development Index and Democracy Index. Parang basically the idea is that habang nagde-democratize ang mga bansa ba, tumataas ng Human Development Index nila. And I use a special version of that, the Oxford University's multi-dimensional HDX. So in short, it was a very kind of a side technical issue just to emphasize na malaki po yung problema natin in terms of developmental divide sa ating bansa. Basically, Becky Anderson was asking me, bakit ang daming Pinoy na sobrang passionate supporters ni President Duterte? Kasi based siya sa, I think, Abu Dhabi. Mga OFW lang sa marami. So I was just explaining na actually, may basihan yung support base ni President Duterte because he's the first one from Mindanao. Historically, Mindanao has been either marginalized or neglected. Worse, may gera pa nung panahon ni Marcos Sr. dictatorship. so I was trying to explain na actually malawak yung development gap. Kaya maraming tao yung sumuporta kay President Duterte, his federalism agenda among others, para ma-close yung development gap na yan. But I only had like 30 seconds to discuss bakit ang popular ni Digong, because I wanted to just explain na actually understandable na maraming tao na passionately supportive of him. But I only had 30 seconds looking at the blank screen, and the topic was actually ICC, International Criminal Court. So what I feel happened there, and later on other journalists also experienced a lot of, was that parang, I think the narrative was yung pagkulong kay Digong sa ICC ay atake ng itong mga tao na sa norte na elitista, na pro-Marcos, ganyan-ganyan. Inaapi kami mga taga Mindanao. And then nakataon lang sa dami kong interviews, at multiple CNN, multiple BBC, multiple Al Jazeera, yung part na yan, yung swak na swak dun sa narrative na yan.
Ano ba yung part na yan?
What did you say?
Yung part na sabi ko, I come from part of, actually I meant part of the northern Philippines. I meant Benguet province. So if you look at the Benguet province, Baguio, right? We have, at least some of the data I saw by 2018-19, it has the highest Human Development Index at 0.088, almost 0.09, which is ka-level ng Chile and Croatia. Kaya sabi ko Southern Europe, diba?
Southern Europe, Croatia.
Exactly. So sabi ko, if you look at it, bakit ganito yung bansa natin na may mga regions ka na ganyan kataas yung level of HDI? Hindi pa naman first world ang Baguio, marami kaming problema. There are many issues. You can look at my interviews with Mayor Magalong. We raised a lot of issues. We have written a lot on that. Pero bakit yung ibang regions ng country natin, medium, or even back in the day, low, pero ngayon medium to lower high. So if you look at it, you go to, when you say Sub-Saharan Africa,
why is Sub-Saharan?
It excludes North Africa, which is mostly Arab-speaking and more Middle Eastern.
Marunong din ang Arab. Arab, pare, pakita mo yung Arab.
Habibi. Khalas.
Ay di Morocco. That is a Morocco.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you look at North Africa, so sa mga international institutions, kasama yung Middle East.
Wakakay ko ninyo kumay. Wala.
Habibi. Yalla, habibi. So, kaya nung World Cup, di ba? Nung yung Morocco nag-semifinals, lahat ng Arab, West Asians, Qataris, all of them were supporting Morocco. Kasi
they are all yelling,
exactly. So may similar culture yan. So when you say Sub-Saharan Africa, kasama dyan yung South Africa kung saan galing si Elon Musk, saan galing si Mandela. And I don't know if you have seen videos of South Africa, it's quite developed actually. Cape Town, Pretoria, kasama dyan Botswana. And then if you go to Nigeria, you go to
Nigeria,
Ghana, medium to high level. Now again, I had only
medium. Why did you say it is medium? What is a medium?
Medium level of Human Development Index to high level of Human Development
Index. What is the point of the medium?
Basically, ang point ko is
point what?
0.66 to 0.771, parang ganyan.
And what is the HDI of Mindanao?
So actually, yun ang sana if I had more time. So going back to what I was supposed to say, I think my mistake was, first of all, if you have such a short time, 30 seconds to explain something, don't throw in something na wala kang time i-explain pa. Because maraming nagsabi, but di mo na-explain na yung Northern Mindanao actually high HDI. Actually, if you look at Mindanao, some of the numbers I've seen, I have to confirm this with NEDA, many regions are actually already high HDI. Hindi lang Davao region na very developed, hindi lang Jensa, 0.77, 0.7, almost 0.8. Yeah, exactly. So, syempre, I had no time to go barangay or province by province, ganun. So, that was so in that sense, I apologize because I should not have even raised that if I didn't have time to fully explain. Sana hindi ko na lang sinabi.
Ito ba yung, nung sinimulan mo ba yung Human Development Index? Sa utak mo ba, ay puta, bakit parang binabaon mo na yung sarili mo? Meron bang time
actually,
dun sa...
No, no. So actually, I released a version of that CNN interview right away. Walang nag-react. Nag-react lang ng tao nung na-splice yung interview. And then, parang may meme na lumabas na yung mukha ko, naka-coat and tie, tapos you know, and then nilagay lang, sabi ni Hidaran ganito ganyan, tapos Sub-Sahara. So that was for me, yun doon papasok yung character assassination.
Galing ng makinarya, no?
Galing pare, sobrang overwhelmed. You could see din
Sino nauna?
Ano?
Sino tingin mong nauna?
No. I mean, for me, as I said, it goes back again to the ICC issue. Matagal na akong markado in a sense that, of course, I've been critical of the Duterte administration war on drugs since day one, basically. So actually, ito nangyari latest sa akin, wala yan. I had worst experiences when Duterte was in power.
Alam mo kung anong lesson mo dito, pare? Kapag binigyan ka ng 30 seconds on air, mag-shoutout ka na lang naman.
Yun,
diba?
Exactly.
I would
Baka
like to
gusto mo
make
sa
a
shoutout yun. Shoutout mo, pare.
All the people who have low, high human development index. Mainly Mindanao.
Kasi si Lolit Solis never nabash eh.
Hello po, binabati ko po yung mga taga-Sub-Saharan dyan.
Pero naging biglang meme na siya, no, and all. Pero ako naman, I think mas nagalit yung iba when I said, okay, maybe I should have not just thrown out numbers like that without the full context, and you know, kumaga, I just should have just said something else, right? Na bakit popular si Digong dahil matapang siya, decisive siya, ganyan. Or at least yun yung image sa kanya. But the other thing I realize is, yung nagkaroon ng parang mga memes, tapos parang yung image ng Africa na pinapakita na parang primitive, I called that out as racist. I even called out Senator Zubiri. You could see, sabi ko, wait lang, but what is this whole Wakanda? Like, dude, if you have been to Abuja, which we discussed last time, yung corruption.
Abuja.
If you go to Abuja, you go to Nairobi, you go to Pretoria, Cape Town, these are well-developed places. I mean, they're not first world, but they're pretty well-develed places.
Yes.
So
out of 10 children, only 5 are hungry.
I mean, they're highly urbanized there. Sabi ko, wait lang, you're accusing me of elitism and all by just citing HDI, na very technical human development. And then, the next thing I know, yung pang-response nyo is actually you're portraying Sub-Saharan Africa in such a stereotypical and some would even say racialist way. So, I think mas nagalit yung ibang tao. Doon nagsimula yung persona non grata.
Mabilis kasi magalit sa'yo kasi mestizo ka.
Sa lahat ng picture na meron ako, yung kinuha pa, yung may beard pa ako, tapos may, like,
parang
obvious character assassination yun.
Tapos, kinunan pa yun sa library.
Yung kupal. Yung kupal talaga, basically kupal.
yung yung mga gentleman.
Yung basically kupal. Southern European.
Ito ba yung meron ka pang scarf na...
Yeah. By the way, shout out to Manila House for that beautiful picture. with Rizal. So, obviously, you saw what they were trying to do. Rage bait. Parang itong taga-norte na to, napakayabang, anti-Duterte, hater. And then later on, nakita natin si Marie Zumali ng GMA Network. May sinabi lang siya, tignan mo yung mata, na twist nila na tignan mo yung matanda. Tapos binash-bash niya siya. So for me, actually, my experience is, there has been an ongoing war against mainstream media because I work in GMA before and now I work in TV51 News and I'm columnist for Philippine Daily Inquirer, among other things I do, obviously. So feeling ko talaga there's really a concerted effort by fake news peddler, pro-Duterte, troll farms, etc. Troll farms, kasi nakikita ko purong bot eh. I showed picture, yung mga nag-attack sa akin, purong 0 followers at 0, obviously troll farms yan.
Wala pagpa-follow ng taga-Sub-Saharan Mindanao, pare.
No, meron akong many followers actually from Mindanao who messaged me nicely and all, sabi na, oy Richard, ingat ka, or sabi na, Richard, just be more sensitive. Kasi ako, naman, I never thought. And then,
mga taga Mindanao ba ang nag-bash sa'yo?
Yung iba, syempre marami rin tayong mga kaibigan na
so,
sympathetic.
Walang na-offend na taga-Africa?
No, I defended. I said don't be racist and don't make stereotypical attacks against
Do not compare us to Mindanao.
Hindi kami supporters of Duterte, diba? Parang ayaw namin ng supporters ng isang tao na nasa ICC detention center ngayon. Let's speak about that kasi literally a week after that whole brouhaha, I was in Southern Europe. So before I went to The Hague, I went first to
1 week pa lang. So, ibig sabihin, kasagsagan pa rin to ng mga bashing sa'yo.
Oo, mainit-init pa.
Tapos pumunta ka doon.
Yung mga kapamilya ko sa Baguio, agawit ka dito, uwi ka na dito, delikado dyan, marami ka sabi, hindi, online lang yan. But anyways, I literally went to Southern Europe sa Rome. Because wag natin kalimutan, obviously, I care about Pope Francis, nag-prayer ako sa Vatican. At the same time, wag natin kalimutan, yung ating in Catholic Church natin was one of the most important institutions na tumutulong dun sa mga biktima ng EJK. Marami sa mga biktima ng EJK, wala silang pera pang burol, right? Wala silang, and so many times actually, it was the Catholic Church And ngayon, Bishop, Cardinal David, for instance.
Alam ko may pinatay pa ng pari noon eh.
Meron pa, tapos na-red tag pa yung iba, na sedition case pa yung kasama natin si Father Albert, who's based in Vatican now. So actually, I went there and met a couple of friends from the Catholic Church, talked to some of the priest friends, because sila yung tumulong dun sa mga witnesses sa ICC. Kasama dyan si Matobato, si Las Cañas. Ito yung mga insiders ng original DDS. Ito yung Davao Death Squad, right?
So nasa sila? Nasa Rome sila?
No, they're not in Rome. But yung mga taga-Catholic Church, tumulong sa kanila, dalhin sila sa Europa. And then obviously, they're probably where they should be, which is where the ICC is, right? I cannot say more. But basically, my understanding is, of course, for their safety, hindi natin exactly alam na saan sila, but they're accessible to the ICC investigators and prosecutors teams. So whether they're in this country, that country, basta alam natin is tumulong ka. So I was there
also.
Tapos
magkatabi pa lang Zelda si Duterte.
Yun, exactly.
Actually, para makatipid, ka-roommate nila si Harry Roque.
Dito ka magka-asylum.
Group Hague nga. Sabi ko, pwede na sila mag-group Hague. So actually, so when I went to The Hague, I talked to the same sources who told me last year na may negotiation na nangyari sa pagitan ng ICC and the Philippine government. Kasi yung ICC naman, realistic din sila eh. Naalala nila, I mean, kung maalala natin, ang dami nilang warrant of arrest na hindi nila ma-effectuate. Netanyahu ng Israel, good luck yan. Lakas na bansa, best friend ni Trump. Vladimir Putin, superpower. Taliban leaders, kung anong nasang kuweba yung mga iba. So, ito lang talagang chance lang yung Philippines. Kasi meron kang gobyerno ngayon, na katulad ng pinag-usapan natin sa previous episode, nakalaban na nga ng mga Dutertes ngayon. So, ang ICC ngayon ay matalino sila, calibrated sila, so they really negotiate. So, as we speak, they're negotiating probably the arrest warrant for also Bato. And if you, for some of us who have seen the...
Sino-sino ba ang mga...
So, according to Attorney Conti, who I met in Brussels, sabay kami umalis sa ICC. Kaya hindi ko na naabutan si Harry Roque. Pag-usapan natin si Harry Roque shortly. According sa kanya, if titignan mo yung warrant of arrest na issue, hindi lang mag-isa si Digong. I think there are up to 11 other people who could potentially...
Alam ko si Albayalde kasama.
It could be also the former Justice Secretary Aguirre. Some people are mentioning. Remember, Aguirre, just remind yung Kian de los Santos, diba? If people remember, he was there attacking Riza Ontiveros, etc.
Si Bongo ba?
Yun ang big question eh. Yun ang very, very big question. In fact, some were saying baka Sara Duterte na rin dahil she was the Davao mayor back then.
Tsaka nandun na siya ngayon.
So...
Hindi naman ganun yun.
Basta hindi kasama si Robin Hood Padilla. Yun lang alam ko.
Harry Roque kasama?
No, hindi kasama si Harry Roque. Kasi ang ICC lang, ang pupuntahan lang nila, ang hinahabol lang nila principals, chief architects. So, ang top 2 talaga dyan is Digong and Bato. Because Bato was the PNP chief. So, there's no way you can have Digong without Bato. Pero kung sino yung mga iba pa, it's a subject of debate. But if you look at, kasi redacted siya eh. So, ang pangalan ng Digong lang makikita mo dun sa file nung redacted. Pero, syempre, pwede mo siguro sabihin, sa haba ng pangalan, baka eto Ronald, ganyan de la Rosa.
I-announce yan,
so,
para Miss Universe pa.
Oo.
So, kaya tawag dito, crossword.
So, pwede yan, scramble sa...
B blank T-O. Buto.
Ayan na naman.
Senator Buto!
Ayan tayo. So, hindi ko alam kung mangyayari ito before election, during election, after election. Kasi kung sa next Congress yan mangyari, imagine mo, kakapanalo lang niya or ever, tapos biglang kukulong siya. So, ano yung maging, di ba may class picture yung mga senators? Yung ba yung nasa plane siya?
Nakawig siya, nakawig.
Yeah, exactly. So,
uy, teka, may chismis daw si Bongo daw ang nag-traido.
Okay. Ito.
Chismis to.
Okay.
Chismis.
Ito guys. So, nung nasa detention center, okay. Sa detention center, ang makapasok lang to meet Digong is either kung family member ka in blood or consular affairs, meaning Philippine Embassy, or yung abogado niya.
Or kung may dala kang pizza.
Hindi. Hindi
talaga.
Si Robin Hood daw, everyday nandun. Hindi ko siya nakabutan yung day na nandun ako. Si Robin Hood Padilla, everyday daw nandun. Pero sinasabi ng tao, anong silba ng pagpunta niya? Hindi naman niya ma-meet si Digong kasi hindi siya family member. So ano lang, I don't know kung anong ginagawa ni Robin Hood doon. Nandun lang siya tumatambay sa labas. Solidarity. No, but going back to this, tinanong ko, what about Senator Bongo? And then sabi nung isang tao doon sa baba, na hindi ko na sabihin kung sino yung sa media, sabi niya, parang ayaw nila Sara na nandun siya or something like that. Okay. Interesting. So, basically, one of the things, again, this is allegedly according to one of the reporters there, who knows the dynamics. Kasi, wag natin kalimutan, guys, this all goes back to 2021 when Sara Duterte wanted to run for president, but Digong wanted Bongo to be the president, and then siguro siya yung vice president or si Sara ang vice president, diba?
Alam mo, baka meron dun sa pizza. Kaya gusto mo talaga, pagbukas mo yung pepperoni nakalagay, sorry.
So, actually, everyone talks about DDS or everyone talks about
nakain yung papel eh.
Hindi yung pepperoni naka-arrange ang sorry.
No, but going back to this, diba? I mean, hanggang ngayon, ang daming questions. Bakit siya umuwi from Hong Kong when potentially pwede naman siya mag-exile sa China? Sa pagkaalam ko, bating China, hindi rin sila 100% sure kung talaga may warrant of arrest. Kasi, remember, Interpol ang nagre-release yan. So, lahat ng bansa may Interpol, including China. Pero yung specific warrant of arrest red notice na yan, ni-release lang yung bulletin only in the Philippine Police. So, may mga nagsabi na...
Red notice ba talaga o red diffusion?
Anong
diffusion?
Hindi, nakikinig kasi ako nung hearing naman kay Aimee.
Okay. Baka you know more technical than me, but yun ang basta red notice, yun yung highest level na i-arrest mo na immediately.
Parang ang...
May different notice colors yan eh. May black, may yellow, may blue, ganun.
Blue diffusion daw yung So meron pang blue diffusion. Ibig sabihin, ano lang to, notice lang. Ano lang to, warning lang.
Or bantayan niya yan, baka tatakas yan. Or pero pag red notice, arrest mo na yan.
Pero yung diffusion, parang FYI lang daw.
Exactly. So ang question here is, bakit umuwi si Digong? So, first of all, hindi ba siya inoffer ng asylum ng China? Sa pagkaalam ko, and I try to talk to all sides here, China also didn't know about it. And China was, in theory, okay with Duterte taking exile there. Because...
Paano ba ang proseso ng ganyan? Yung magpapaalam ka ng exile?
Statement of account.
Well, there's a very informal, seamless way of doing this, diba? Like Digong will just say, I'm in... Parang si Harry Roque vacation. Parang ganun. Although Harry Roque's exile asylum naman hinihingi niya, diba? So, I'm sure in China, if you're a good friend of China like Digong, mabilis lang yung process. So, all you have to do is just cross from Hong Kong into Guangdong. Guangzhou is just right across. Diba? Pero nakita niyo yung pictures ni Digong sa Hong Kong? He was surrounded by all of these Chinese parang special forces.
Meron ganun?
Pare, tignan mo yan. Ako, feeling ko a part of me, I don't know, correct me. Feeling ko part ni Digong parang prison na rin yan. Imagine mo, nasa China ka, tapos bantay sarado ka ng MSS agents. Ito yung parang FBI ng China. Feeling ko sabi na, wag na, uwi na lang ako. In fact, ang sa pagkaalam ko, Digong had an option of flying straight to Davao with a chartered plane. Pero tinamad na siya. Hindi ba nahintayin yan? So I think, it's not that China abandoned him. It's just that neither China nor Digong thought na this will go this way. And sabi ng China, siguro pwede naman mag-fly diretso ito sa Davao para wala ng problema. Kasi kung nag-fly sa Davao yan, hindi mo ma-arrest sa Davao yun. Good luck yan. Yung kay Kiboloy, 10 times more na mag-resistance ang mangyayari dyan. So, I think it was really sloppiness and all. And then
swerte lang din.
Or malas in the case of Digong or foolish. So this is where the rumors started coming. Okay. So one rumor is umuwi si Digong dahil yung mga anak niya nagsabi na, Tay, umuwi ka na kasi kailangan namin yung support mo. Siyempre si Sara could face impeachment. Si Baste, di ba, medyo criticize siya as mayor of Davao kaya he's just running for vice mayor. And then kalaban nila yung Nograleses, etc.
Si Pulong may
So, may theory who spread that news na mga anak ang nagpauwi sa kanya. And then the other theory is that nagkaroon ng double agent or backstabbing ang nangyari. So some would say either this is rumors being spread by kalaban of Mo Dutertes or mga competing factions within the Duterte group. Connect the dots na, I don't have to spell it out, right? So interestingly, this episode, what happened with Duterte is showing na within the pro-Duterte camp, actually maraming mga faction, di ba? May isang faction na basically si Sara Duterte, Robin Hood Padilla, yun ang gusto nilang 2028. Okay. And then there's another side, if Bongo number 1 siya sa serving ngayon, although we don't know he'll be number 1, malaban na mag number 1 sa final race kasi papasok ng command and machine dyan. But if Bongo does very well, he might want to also run for president.
Ang lalo kung may
mo
sa Senado.
Exactly.
Ang ganda nun.
So, all I'm saying here is,
Pepe, Ronnie!
So what I'm saying is that ang dami mga layers dito. Now, the other interesting element here is nung pagdating ko sa Hague nung araw na yun yung day na malawakan ng mga protesta rally ng mga Duterte supporters.
Do you remember yung araw na yun? Ano yan?
Sunday yun.
Sunday.
It was
yung ba yung nasa Cebu tayo?
Oh, it was
yung
a Sunday.
mag-rally.
March 16
March
ba
16
yan?
ba?
It was
Pinabukasan nun eh.
March
So-
16 Sunday, yeah. Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
ito ay malawakan, so pati sa Pilipinas nag-rally din sila.
Yeah. Oh, pero like, sabi nila 600 lang, and then nung nakausap ko yung iba, sabi nila, yung iba naman nakikipiknik lang naman, hindi naman
Doon sa Hague.
Yes.
Tsaka matataba yung
And then
sumali.
nagla-live ako parati sa nung nasa Europe ako. 'Di ba ang algorithm is kung nagla-live ka, ita-target nung YouTube yung mga audience mo more in that location. So actually, ang dami mong OFWs na biglang nagko-comment sa post ko na nagsabi nila, ay hindi kami pro Duterte, itong mga to hindi sila, they don't represent us. Hindi totoo na lahat ng OFW sa Europe ay pro Duterte. So when I was doing live in Italy, yung mga OFW sa Italy nagko-comment, sir, hindi kami pro Duterte. Actually, mali nga yung ginagawa.
Sir, di kami pro Duterte.
Pro Duterte. Buongiorno.
Kami po yung Nigerians.
Buonasera. So nung nasa Southern Europe ako, di ba? And then nung nasa Netherlands, and then nag-Brussels pa ako afterwards. Ang daming, actually, may silent majority ng mga OFWs na hindi pro Duterte. Na hindi masyado nagsasalita. Kaya sabi ko, magsalita na kayo kasi...
May splice ka na naman.
No. Because, okay, show me the numbers na talagang today, is there a public opinion that shows that out of 10 million FWs, all of them are pro Duterte? I don't think so. I haven't seen the number. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Di ba merong initiative na, stop remittance? No Remittance Day. Ano bang nangyari nun?
Ano sabi ni Mang Johnny? Di ba nag-comment si Mang Johnny, si Enrile, sabi niya, kung gagawin niya, tatanggalin din namin yung tax benefits niya and all of that. Ako naman, ang point ko is that, why are some people talking as if they represent the entire OFW community when the OFW community is very diverse? I talked to many OFW OFW people. By the way, first of all, yung mga Duterte supporters ng OFW na meet ko, napakabait na tao in person actually. Ako, online, maraming away-away yan. Pero actually in person, halos lahat ng mga Duterte supporters na meet ko, they're actually very nice, very cool. Nag-group 8 pa
halos.
Dun sa... Halos, may mga isa-dalawa na medyo hostile ng una sa akin.
Pag-usapan natin yung dalawa.
Hindi naman, yung parang
Si Harry Roque, tsaka si Sara Duterte.
Hindi naman, si Harry. Ano bang status ni Harry
Roque? Ano lang
Roque?
yung reaction nila, bro? Nung lumapit ka, ano lang yung reaction nila?
No, because... Going back to what you said, di ba? Ito, parang kupal, taga-north, ganyan. And then when I stay in person, actually, smiling, chill lang ako. I'm sure, di ba, first time na nagsama tayo dito, medyo ilang din kayo sa akin, di ba? Dati si Xiao Chua, di ba, parang sanabi niya, parang...
Napakagwapo mo kasi.
Parang, di ba, sabi ni Rafi, parang feeling, kunya may dating na alta, kunyari, di ba? Parang actually, kalog ako in person, this is a very Baguio boy thing, like, wala kami.
Oo, nung una ka namin nakilala, nakasuit ka na
Oo, pero nagubad ako, di ba? Tapos naging Elvis
baka
Presley.
baka pwede mo magubad ka uli para sa mga nanay na nanonood ko na.
Titas of Manila.
Konting lang, padulas lang.
Pero yung dalawang tao na to, inisnab ka ba nila o inirapan ka ba nila? Ano yung paano kanila
tinatawag?
Yung isa na parang, are you gonna apologize to people of Mindanao for insulting? Sabi ko, first of all, I never meant to insult. I never insult. I love Mindanao. I care for Mindanao. I've been to Mindanao. So it was a little bit hostile with just one person, a bit like, yung isa more taunting lang, yung pero eventually in the end, tapos binivideo ka nila na live.
Talaga? Lahat sila meron.
Intimidating yun, di ba? Na parang pinoprovoke ka for you to do something para to make you look bad, di ba?
Ganun din ginawa kay Maris Umali, di ba?
Di ba? Ila-live siya, tapos nila-live din rin, di ba? Pero parang may cage doon? Like, bakit may ganun? Parang may zoo pa rin? Hindi ko maintindihan ba? Anyway, ang point ko is,
di ba may nagpalit pa ng audio doon?
Oo.
Alam ko may nagpalit pa ng audio na parang sa pari. Basta parang parang
makinarya yan.
Exactly, di ba? Kita mo
yan.
pare, coordinated yan eh. Coordinated yan. Yung memes na lumabas sa akin, ang bilis lumabas, tas naka-coordinated. So, of course, may mga tao na meme lang yung nakita nila, so naniwala sila, kaya galit sila. So, may mga genuine tao na nagalit. Hindi ko sinasabi lahat na nagalit ay troll. Pero, ito ay na machine muna, minasahe muna, and then umabot sa social consciousness. So much so, na mas mataas yung search sa akin sa Google kaysa nadamay pa si Hayden ko. Kasi Haydarian Hayden ko. Mas mataas ako kay Kardashian.
So, ibig sabihin, may date kayo niya.
Hayden ko, Hayden ko.
Wala kang
ito, makaklaro na lahat.
Yes, wala kang scandal na ni Hayden.
Kaya may mga nagsabi, oy Richard, baka hindi, wala, hindi ako
Hindi ka sumasayaw, wala kasama si Katrina Halili. Hindi, wala.
But, let me tell you what, sino ang dark horse ng race ngayon? Philip Salvador. Buyaka siya pare, ang taas ng bump niya sa numbers niya.
Pumasok siya, bakit dark horse?
Mga crush ng bayan ng medyo certain demographics.
Kaya siya dark horse kasi siya si Boy Negro.
Ayan. Wala akong alam dyan.
May pelikula po siya dati, Boy Negro.
Alam mo, pinalabas sa States yan, nagkagulo eh. Pinalitan nila yun. Pinalitan nila yung title.
Pero Prof,
There was an international release of Boy Negro. It was named
tama na.
Person ng grata tayo sa
Gods Must Be Crazy.
Medyo 1970s.
Naka-stage na.
pero
Sige. Philip Salvador, sige.
Open kang magpagupit kay Harry Roque.
Pero si Harry Roque is a very interesting case, no?
Sagutin mo yun.
Puta, mga 20 na yung pinapalagtas mo.
Si Harry talaga. Alam mo yung mga supporters ni Digong lumapit sa akin at sabi niya, Sir, bakit ganun si Harry? Parang sinakyan pa yung trahedya ni Tatay Digong para sa sarili niyang asylum.
Oo nga, di ba?
Kasi hindi naman siya kailangan eh, to be honest eh. Actually,
ang sensitive ang insensitive ni Akla.
Parang sinakyan pa niya. Sinakyan pa niya yung trahedya ni Digong.
Jump pakat yun.
Parang bakit ka nandyan? May mga ibang... Tsaka di ba ang dami niyang sinabi laban kay Digong noong 2015-16? So pwedeng gamitin yan sa korte laban kay Digong. Imagine, yung prosecutor, according to the defense own lawyer, he is a mass murderer.
Roll BTR.
Kaya talagang, kaya actually nagtataka, why is he even there? I mean, legally speaking, by the way, hindi ka bibigyan ng asylum na basta-basta. In fact, yung Netherlands, sunog na daw sila dahil dun sa experience ni Joma Season. Remember, si Joma Season, nasa Utrecht na matagal. So that created tension between us and Netherlands for a while. So Netherlands, ayaw na nila ng controversial. Lalo-lalo na kung may potential involvement ka sa Pogo, allegedly, di ba? Ang case niya, sinasabi niya, pinipersecute siya, pero actually, ang problema sa kanya is, may serious allegations na involved siya sa Pogo, and these are Pogos who have also been involved allegedly in criminal activities and all of that. So I had haba daw pila, libo-libong nag-apply. And in fact, speaking of asylum, just to be technical about this, importante din kung paano ka pumasok sa Netherlands. Kung for instance, pumasok ka sa Netherlands via America, sasabihin ng Netherlands, ayun pala di mag-apply ka na lang sa US or mag-apply ka na lang sa Germany. Kumbaga, kung marami kang ibang alternative, bakit ka mag-asylum with us to begin with? Bago pa namin titignan yung kaso mo, kung meron kang kaso or hindi.
Saan ba siya galing?
Hindi nga, Macau ba siya before that or Hong Kong? Yun nga, hindi na. So,
baka naubos na yung Mabuhay Miles.
Well, I mean, ano ba yung Mabuhay Miles ng China Airlines?
China pala dapat na nag-apply.
Hindi ko alam kung... careful na lang ako, baka may madulas tayo, mas flies na naman yan. No, but seriously, I mean, di ba, sabi na nasa Dubai siya. Si Justice Carpio, sabi nga, baka nasa Morocco. Yung favorite mong country. Sabi ko, saan sa Morocco? Casablanca. So, ngayon, at least I know exactly where he is. Kasi nung, sa Hague, marami akong contacts na people who inform me about the latest developments and all. And that's why I went also to Brussels. I mean, Brussels is the capital of Belgium, and Belgium, andun yung European Union. So marami tayong na-meet. Pogi ang Pilipinas ulit sa mga Europeo. Kasi tingin sa atin, halos lahat ng malalaking kaso na tayong involved Yung West Philippine Sea, yung Hague ruling, andun. Literally, yung ICC and Hague, pwede malakaran 15 minutes yan. Magkakatabi yan. All the big cases, laban sa China, laban kay Digong, Philippines ang involved. So biglang ang importante natin sa mga Europeo, and I was talking to the European officials, European Parliament, European Commission, EU-ASEAN Business Group. So nag-meetings din ako na semi-official and all with important people, and they were telling me, they're very happy with the direction of the Philippines. Kaya
How do they view it? Parang democracy in action.
Ang view nila is, of course, they're polite, diba? Europeans are very polite. Parang point nila is, alam namin, lahat naman tayo may problema. But Europe naman, hindi naman perfect, diba? But the point nila is, you constantly move in the right direction. And tingin nila, tayo ang pinaka-similar sa kanila in terms of values sa Asia, dito sa Southeast Asia. Which is true, diba? I mean, what other Southeast Asian country? Tayo pa nag-host kay Zelensky. Shoutout kay Zelensky, diba? Tayo pro-Ukraine. We're the only pro-Ukraine country probably na consistent Southeast. So, ang bango natin. And why does that matter? Because they're negotiating a free trade agreement with us. And I look at the studies, ang taas ng magja-jump ng exports natin sa Europe. Do you know how much we export to Europe and how much more we can export to Europe kung may free trade agreement tayo with them? Especially now with Donald Trump, diba? With all these tariffs, Liberation Day.
Naka-pause naman.
Yeah, you know, so, na-pause 90 days, diba? Pero, my point is, we don't know with the US, we don't know with China. So, Europe, yung third largest economic bloc, ang pogi natin sa kanila. And they really want to develop a relationship with us. So, parang nakaka-proud na Pinoy ka, you're in Brussels nowadays. Because I used to be there a lot during Digong's time. Pare, every day, about AJKs, European Parliament, yung ibang kaibigan ko. Actually, I have him in one of my vlogs, si Giacomo. He was banned by Digong. Pumasok siya sa Pilipinas, openly kinall out siya, umalis ka ng bansa. So, I had some of my friends in EU were banned during Duterte. And now I'm there, and they're so happy for us. But ito, basically yung sinasabi ng kaibigan natin is, this is just the first step. Kasi, ICC can only go after the principles. What we need to do, kaya nga I really encourage you guys to also host Attorney Conti kasi she's really smart. Yung mga biktima, hindi natin alam yung story nila, to be honest, to the degree that we should know. We know the Kian de los Santos case, but even not enough. So parang naintindihan ko na naawang tao kay Digong kasi literally
si Attorney Conti ba ay counsel sa prosecutor?
So technically her title is Assistant Counsel to yung abogado ng mga biktima na tumutulong sa prosecutor sila, office nila Karim Khan. Yeah.
So sasampa pa siya dun sa korte o
yeah, and probably they'll bring victims there, some of the victims of the family. Remember, meron nang yung conspiracy theory na tanim biktima. Imagine mo, hindi lang tanim bala.
Pagbukas mo ng bag mo, may biktima, gano'n.
Bigla may EJK sa...
Ako mo ang saksi!
Diba, ganun ka-ridiculous. And then...
Ano to nasa bulsa mo?
and pare,
may daliri.
When I was in Brussels, nag-attend ako ng lecture ni Attorney Conti, and people can watch that on my platforms and all. Yung kapatid ng isang biktima ay nandun, ang kausap ko, alam mo sinabi niya sa akin? Sabi ko, ang plano ko is interviewin ko yung mga pamilya ng mga biktima para makita rin yung kwento nila. At sabi niya, actually sir, natakot kami hanggang ngayon eh. Kasi baka babalikan kami. Diba? Kasi remember, marami rin sangkot dito sa nangyari na to eh. Baka pwede silang balikan. Ako naman kasi, kaibigan natin si General Torre, di ba? So medyo kampante ako ng konti na at the very top of PNP ganun. Medyo may ano tayo, kaibigan tayo. But what I'm saying is that up until today, hindi natin narinig yung kwento ng mga tunay na biktima ng EJK. At dahil marami sa kanila, unfortunately, yung mga kaibigan natin from marginalized sector, medyo relatively, yung bosses nila hindi ganun ka well represented. To be honest, I'll be very honest about this. So, kasi ako, before I went to Europe to cover the ICC, hinabol ko yung sale doon sa isang, yung for my raincoat, whatever. And then, nakilala ko na ibang tao doon. Sabi niya, sir, pupunta ka ba ng ICC? Ganon. Sabi ko, nakakaawa si
Pwede
Tatay Digong.
Pwede po magpasabay, ganun, di ulan.
Hindi naman, parang kawawa si Tatay Digong. Di ba?
Parang mix ka ba dyan?
Di ba si Digong, hindi niya parang masabi yung pangalan niya, Rodrigo, parang di ba? Parang sabi ko, naintindihan ko na nakakaawa kasi 8 years old na almost by that time. Ngayon, 18 na. Pero sabi ko, sana makita rin natin yung parte ng mga biktima who will never have due process. Never. At least ICC parang ang ganda ng detention center.
Ano bang doon? Weather? Kamusta ang
Spring, ang ganda. So
malamig-lamig. Anong temperature?
No. Parang Baguio. Southern Europe. Mga 15 degrees to 20 degrees.
May strawberry
sunny. Tapos yung detention center, parang yung warehouse sa gitna ng isang magandang village. So literally, yung mga kapitbahay nagagalit sa amin. May mga tao biglang may kortinang gano'n. We're trying to sleep, gumagaling yung mga tao. Maingay yung mga ibang kaibigan natin. So, ang weird nga, yung detention sa gitna siya ng isang village ng mga tao na nakatira doon. So, kawawa yung mga tao doon pag nagkakagulo doon. Buisit na buisit sila.
May nagtatricycle. May tricycle sa kalto.
So, anyway, pare, I mean, gusto mong balikan si Philip Salvador kasi feeling ko ang laki ng chance niya manalo talaga eh.
Pakilan na ranking niya ngayon?
So sa Pulse Asia pasok na siya sa
5 to 12.
Oo, pasok na siya. And then sa WR numero at saka Okta, of course we're talking as of mid-April, early to mid-April. Sa WR numero at saka Okta, within the range siya. Pero siya yung pinaka-dramatic increase in numbers. And I think kasi di ba siya yung pinaka-dramatic response, yung iyak talaga siya after si Digong. At yung iyak
teka, meron ba silang parang may...
ayoko na sagutin.
Nakakatulong ba talaga?
Ek yan, ek.
Ginagawa kasi ng issue eh. May isang picture na magkayakap, may kayakap si Philip Salvador habang umiiyak.
Ay nako.
So,
huwag kayong ganun ha.
Pero umanggulo siya sa camera eh. Talagang yung pigit niya. Hinanap niya yung saan yung camera.
Eto, kakat na lang natin to. Anong scoop doon? May scoop.
Hindi ko ayoko na. Yun ang scoop na hindi ko ayoko pagkita. But all I can say is that doon sa lahat ng mga producer supporters na umiyak na very emotional, I think si Philip Salvador yung pinaka-emotional impact. Now, of course, if you're cynical, say, syempre siya yung artist. Well, artista rin naman si Robin Hood Padilla. Artista rin si Bato, di ba? Bato sa Arts and Drama.
Naunahan umiyak si Robin, kaya umiyak din si Robin.
Pero, ito, I mean, si Philip Salvador, he has a very good chance. And may mga tao na sinisisi na naman ako. I don't know kung nakita yung video. Meron akong video na ginaya ko yung sayaw niya. Meron siyang gano'n eh. Tawag ng tao.
Napanood ko yun.
Next thing I know, but yung mga artist...
ko si Philip eh.
Oo, sabi ko, oh my God, I think I'm naging mas cool siya, di ba? After that. Kasi nung una, wala, single digit lang siya eh. Ngayon, biglang boom, nandun na siya sa... So I think he's really the dark horse of this race. And imagine what the next Congress will look like if meron akong Willie Revilla, may Philip Salvador, Robin Hood Padilla, oh my God.
Pwede
tatlong tulfo.
Bong Revilla.
Bong Revilla,
Lito
sure
Lapid.
At ang paswerte talaga niya si Josh.
Ang laki ni Josh, natangkad niya, no? Actually, natangkad lahat na pala.
Ang laki na ni Josh, parang talagang hindi siya tumitigil lumaki.
Nalanganin ako ron, pakikat nga.
Ang dami naman kinakal. No, but going back to this, imagine the next Senate, guys. Tatlong tulfo, potentially may Willie ka na, hep, huray, tapos meron kang Philip Salvador.
Tatlong tulpo.
Okay.
Hindi, yung mga bago na lang napapasok, dalawang tulpo.
Ben, Erwin, malaking chance.
Pero nayanig yung ranking nila eh. Nagulat ako eh. Ben Tulfo and Erwin. Si Erwin number 2 ata.
Statistically tied for number 1. Remember, again may machine pa yan Remember, survey lang ang tinatanong, sinong preference mo? Ibang usapan kung pupunta ka pa, pupunta ka pa. So actually, Erwin,
lang ako eh.
Mataas pa rin chance ni Erwin mag-top ng race na to. Si Ben kasi independent siya. So we don't know, baka yung final number niya, baka hindi siya top 5. We don't know. But ang laki ng chance sa dalawang tulfo. Willie Revilla is within the range, very much, at least sa Pulse Asia. Philip Salvador is the dark horse, I would say.
Sagot ka, nag-walkout si Mong.
Alam mo ang alanganin.
Kasi lahat ng mga binanggit nyo nasa listahan niya lahat eh.
Alam mo ang alanganin ngayon, si Aimee at saka Pacquiao. Pinaka bumaba is si Aimee and Pacquiao, which is quite interesting, di ba? Kasi
akala nga ni Aimee maililigtas niya yung karir niya sa
hearing na yan.
Nung pumili na siya ng side.
Oo.
Ikaw, anong basa kayo? Actually curious ako. Kayo, anong basa niyo sa ginagawa ni Aimee? Sabi ni Hanilet, ek lang yan. O kayo, anong basa niyo?
Ek lang, for ano lang to, saving grace.
For what? For herself? To win Duterte support?
Oo. Parang kasi yung apelido niya, lagi siya ikinakabit kay BBF. So, gusto niyang i-establish ngayon na hindi kakampi niyo ako mga DDS. Boto niyo ako. Parang meron ding mga kampo na galit sa loob ni Duterte. Meron ding kampo na...
Kaya sila Panelo.
Galit din kay Aimee. Kaya mga may makanarya din na bumabatikos kay Aimee. Kaya bumabati.
Ikaw, sika, Ilocano ka, kapsat, man. Anong basa mo?
Hindi, nagsawa lang tao kay Aimee. Nakakasawa naman talaga eh, tingnan mo. Tapos si Pacquiao nakakapanghinaya kung kailan tumatalino na siya kahit paunti-unti.
Ikat na yan!
Nag-aaral siya eh, kahit pa paano eh.
Pero ang boboto talaga nito ni Ryan Rep, si Heidi Mendoza eh. Bakit mo siya iboboto?
Kasi gusto ko yung ayaw niya sa Sogi.
Grabe! Ayan, cut nyo talaga. Alam mo guys, magandang discussion yan kasi sabi ko, dalawa yung tipo ng maling pagboboto. Dalawang tipo. Type 1 error, type 2 error. Ang type 1 error is napaka-controversial, questionable, sabihin natin, mamamatay tao, kurakot yung isang tao. Pero dahil yung isang kandidato na yan, may adhikain siya na swak sa'yo. You're willing to forget everything else. Dahil swak yung isang bagay niyan sa'yo. Sa hollow effect yata ang tawag dyan. Parang, basta yung issue na malapit sa puso ko, andun siya. So you're willing to ignore everything else, character, content, like controversy.
Di ba?
Wala akong sinasabi.
War on drugs.
Basically, any populist.
Marami kaya. Era. Para sa mahirap. Sinabi lang niya yun, pero may mga issue pa rin siya na nasa likod niya. Duterte, paduduguin ko yung Manila Bay.
Noy, mahilig sa Penoy.
So, yun yung type 1 error. Yung type 2 error naman, overall, itong kandidato, mukhang maayos naman. Hindi naman kurakot, hindi makamatay tao, ganun. Pero may sinabi, may interview na splice, or may isang issue na medyo iba yung take niya, so biglang ika-cancel culture mo siya. Yun naman, para sa akin medyo mali din yun. Kasi at the end of the day, I think you should vote for a candidate compared to other candidates and yung buong, parang kung magjowa ka or I don't know, kung bili ka ng kotse, hindi mo naman titignan yung affordability lang or yung gwapo lang itsura or matul. Titignan mo lahat ng factors.
Tsaka yung long term.
And long term, maintenance, ganyan. Or, eto pa, ay bukas sa dialogo, mag-i-improve pa yan. Tingnan mo si Pacquiao, sobrang laki ng improvement niya over the past 10 years, di ba? So, for me, when you vote for someone, parang relasyon yan, di ba? It's like, nagjowa ka, kaya hindi siya perfect ngayon, alam mo, over time, gagaling itong tao na to, or may mga ganitong attributes siya, yung potential and yung content of character. So, type 2 error for me is, may sinabi lang siyang isa na ayaw mo, or isang issue lang na, may sinabi siya na ayaw mo, tapos ayaw mo na sa kanya, ika-cancel mo.
Kinalimutan mo yung track record, achievements.
Na malinis, hindi. Yun, cancel culture, ayaw ko rin yan. Type 2 error yun sa akin. So,
basically, pareho lang din sila. So, pagka...
they're both errors.
1 and 2, pareho lang. Magkabaliktad lang ng spectrum. Di ba? Parang kakalimutan mo lang yung achievement ng isa dahil lang doon sa pagkakamali.
So, I'll say a last thing on this issue. Alam ko kasi andyan na natin si Sir Ronald. Nagtatanong si Sir, anong susutin ko? Sabi ko, basta yan. Anyway, going back to this. No, ako, for me, the important issue right now is, bukas ba ang tao sa tinatawag na tactical voting? So, for instance, ikaw ay pink supporter, right? So, obviously, Bam and Kiko ang gusto mo, di ba? At malaking chance yung dalawa na makapasok, right? Si Kiko, actually, sa tingin ko, mas malaking chance. Alam mo bakit? Because, ang weird yung number niya sa Pulse Asia, parang bumaba siya ng 15 points sa Visayas, pero tumaas siya sa Mindanao, tumaas siya sa NCR, so, no one can explain that. Parang very weird yung number niya. Pero pasok siya more or less sa Magic 12, almost in all major surveys.
Reliable pa ba ang surveys?
No, that's why you get the median. I-average mo yung lahat ng surveys and then more or less it gives you an idea.
Parang hindi. Kasi sinasabi nila, nababayaran ng survey.
No. You cannot pay all of them kasi nagko-compete din naman sila. In fairness naman. Iba rin yung
ang inaalala ko, pag kinuha mo yung median, you will create more surveys na bayaran para hatakan yung median.
Not naman. They do that in the US. So they get the median. Diba? Yung Kamala versus Trump. The median is 47, 46. I do the same thing. Obviously, there are honestly just only 3 or 4 institutions I fully trust. There are others na hindi ko na pinapansin. So there are 4 or 5 of them na I look and then I take the median to see within the range. But basically, ang issue ko ngayon is, bukas pang tao sa tactical voting. So anong ibig sabihin yan? So for instance, gusto mo si Bam, si Kiko, sabi natin maybe Heidi, Luke, whatever. Pero alam mo siguro, 2-3 lang may chance dyan, and then 12 yung option mo. Bukas ka ba na supportan si Pacquiao, for instance, na hindi pink, alyansa, pero alam mo kung nandun siya sa Senado, medyo ayos-ayusin niya doon sa impeachment issue ni Sara, baka naman on the right side of history. Susuportahan mo ba yung mga mas mahihinang independent or alyansa candidates who will stand up to Duterte and hold them accountable? So I did a kind of informal survey on that. Mukhang hati yung mga ibang tao. Yung ibang tao, ang kalaban talaga mga Duterte dito, so I'm willing to vote not only for Bam, Kiko, Heidi, but I'm willing to also vote for, I don't know, Pacquiao, whatever, ganun, para hindi makapasok XYZ. So, I think that's the kind of discussion we should have at this point in time. Is tactical voting something that voters are willing to consider? Because yung composition ng next Senate will determine if Sara will face trial. Forget about conviction. Trial to begin with. Because kung puro mananalo dyan ay mga independent or pro-digong na mas malapit kay Sara, walang mangyayari dyan. kahit anong Miggy
Aram na
Mango,
kagad,
kahit
no?
anong Miggy Mango, kahit anong Piato Silabas mo, nothing will happen. Kahit anong ICC warrant of arrest, baka nga si Bato hindi ma-arrest dahil the next Senate will be all solidifying behind Team DDS, di ba? So,
Nag-ahit silang lahat ng ulo, no? Hindi alam kung sino yung pupulutin.
Hindi, malayo pa yung utak ng Pinoy dyan sa tactical voting na yan. Kasi nga, masyado ng bigger picture yung tinitingnan.
Parang, yun nga katulad nung sinabi ni Prof na yung mga papasok, yung 3 Tulfo, tapos sila Philip, ganun. Sa tingin nyo ba nagkakaroon ng... Kasi kung tumatalino yung sila Pacquiao, yung mga